Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the Disney villain's devilishly delicious cookbook. We made croquet croquettes last week, which turned out to be deep-fried mashed potatoes. This week we're on to the entree, codfish and chips. First up, let's go ahead and tell the story. Captain Hook is determined to exact his revenge against the mischievous Peter Pan, but no matter how hard he tries, Hook just can't get the upper hand with the crafty leader of the Lost Boys and that pesky TikTok crocodile. "I'll get you for this, Pan," the captain shouts, "if it's the last thing I do." But when Pan has Hook tied up on the Jolly Roger and makes the captain shout, "I'm a codfish," the captain is further defeated. This fish and chips recipe, inspired by a classic combo, is flaky white codfish and crispy chips at its best, sprinkled with malt vinegar and salt as the Brits do, or served with tartar sauce for dipping. Alright, so there's the story on that. As usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's head in that direction. As you can probably guess by the layout, we've got two distinct groups of ingredients that we need. So for the chips, and I should probably mention before I get into the ingredients for this recipe, that because of the nature of deep frying the recipe, which is something I discovered last week with the croquet croquettes, is deep fried food usually doesn't keep too well as leftovers, with the exception of the Quiet Hounds from the World of Warcraft New Flavors of Azeroth cookbook. I'm finding fried food normally doesn't keep well as leftovers, even homemade fried food. So because of that, I'm actually going to cut the entire recipe in half. So normally this makes 4 servings, and the 4 servings version will be in the description down below. But I'm cutting the recipe in half, so I'm only going to make 2 servings out of this. So for the chips, we're going to need, it would be 2 pounds of russet potatoes. I'm only using 1. Salt to taste and neutral cooking oil. I'm using vegetable oil for that. As for the codfish, we need 2 pounds of cod. Once again, I'm using 1. We need 1½ cups of flour, 1½ tablespoons of cornstarch, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 8 to 10 ounces of club soda, and more of the veggie oil. Well, neutral cooking oil. Again, I'm using veggie. With that, let's move into the kitchen and start preparing this recipe. I've already washed the potatoes and patted them dry. You can peel them as well if you like, but I'm not going to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to cut the potatoes into long, thin strips. And one thing to be aware of is the thinner you get the chips, the crispier they'll be. So let's see what we can do with this. Hopefully, okay, this is probably not the brightest thing I'm doing, but I'm not going to go for very thin crisps, just because I still want to be able to handle them when they come out. So we're going to make a few, we're going to do this, I think we're going to do it this way. I also need to be careful cutting them this way that I don't end up accidentally adding any secret ingredient to the recipe. But I think we're all clear there. So these probably aren't going to be very crispy, but this is more for demonstration purposes than anything. So I think we'll just do this kind of the, yeah. You can probably get that. Okay. And we should be able to do one more here. Okay. So the reason I'm putting them in a bowl is for the next step. So we're going to actually move this along with the large bowl. We're going to move over to the sink, because what we're going to do with these is we're going to soak the chips in cold water. So we're going to put cold water on. That should be plenty cold enough. Okay. I want to make sure I get them submerged, which we are there. So I'll go ahead and find the lid, which I put over here. I'm going to throw this in the fridge because I'm going to throw this in the fridge so I can let the potatoes soak for at least 2 hours or potentially overnight. So let me get these in the fridge. That will work. And I don't know when we're going to come back to this. I'm actually getting ready to leave for the day in probably about 15-20 minutes. Hopefully we'll come back to this tonight, but if not, it could be tomorrow. But by the magic of editing either way, it'll seem like just a moment. So we'll come back to this later. We're going to get the oil going in a minute. Before we do that, we have to prepare the cod. So I'm getting a few pieces of paper towel ready because I'm going to cut the cod down. Probably with a serrated knife. Well, that kind of worked, but I'm going to see if this works better with a serrated knife. My guess is that it will. We'll pat the cod dry. Okay. Put that out of the way. The aforementioned serrated knife. Oh, that worked much better. Okay, so that's all done. Now we can pat each of these dry. Okay. Well, it's drier at any rate. Apparently cod is a really wet fish. I'm a lot more used to cooking with tilapia, admittedly, than I am to cooking with cod. So this is taking me a little bit of getting used to. Okay. Got 3 more pieces left to dry. Okay, one more paper towel. Okay. I think we're all clear there, so we can get the fish out of the way. Wash our hands off. All right, we can bring the cutting board out of shot. Then we'll go ahead and we'll bring the mixing bowl in, and we'll start preparing the dry ingredients. So we need a 1.5 cups of flour, which I've got my 1/2 cup right here, so it's going to be 1, 2, and 3. That should go back up. Tablespoon and 1/2 of cornstarch, which will of course need to be opened because I bought it fresh, because I bought it at the grocery store this morning. One, 2, and 3. Then it'll be 1.5 teaspoons if my reading is right. Yes, it is, of baking powder. One, we'll take some liberties here. 2, and 3. We combine that first, right? Yes. So we'll put the baking powder back up. So we'll go ahead and give that, and we'll go ahead and combine that. Okay, that should be good. And now we'll grab the club soda, which I've got my 1.5 cups here for 10 ounces of club soda. And then the goal here, whoa, is to not have it explode. That was really bad. Okay, hang on. I'm just gonna wipe up a little bit here. Okay, that was problematic. Did not realize how fizzy that was going to be. Pour that in. Also my first time working with club soda, so yeah, try not to hate too much in the comments below. Sometimes stuff like that just happens on Mystical Munchies, though. Anyway, we'll give this a mix-up. I may have to... Okay, I'm starting to encounter resistance, so I may have to add more club soda because this batter is going to be way too thick. If it stays in current state, it's just going to be way too thick. So yeah, we'll go ahead and pour more club soda in. Whoop. Still a little thicker than I would like, than I think I want. So I'll add a little more. Okay, so what do I need before I go into the oil? Okay, that should be thin. Okay, I can get the potatoes ready as well while I start the oil heating up. Okay, that still seems too thick. Because again, the goal here is I want to make sure excess batter is going to drip off the fish when I put it in. So I need it thinner still. Okay, that seems like it should be thin enough now. Okay, so I can get the club soda out of the way. I think I'll put that back. I think I'll put that in the fridge for the time being. Slip it in there. Okay. Just gonna try to wipe this club soda up a little more. I think we're good there. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely looking more runny, so I think that's probably more where I want it to be. So now, is this container open? I don't think it is. Doesn't look like it. So now I want the veggie oil, which is going to go into the pot. I do not want this to get high again. I think that's probably... I think that's about as high as I want it to be, because I'm not comfortable with getting oil up too high. So here's the thermometer, and I want this to be over medium-high heat. Okay. So, oh, I've got to help if I turn the thermometer on. Okay. Bring that up to 375. Come on. It's taking its sweet time. I'm setting it. I haven't turned the burner on yet. There we go. 375. I gotta figure out a way I can rest this so I can watch it reasonably well. If I do that, I want that to be over medium-high heat, so I think I'm gonna be about a 7. Okay. Angling it back here, I can kind of watch it. We'll mix that up a little more. Okay. I think we can bring that out of the way at this point. In the meantime, while we wait for the oil to heat up, I'll pull the potatoes that I refrigerated earlier out. Then I'll drain those and dry them with a paper towel. So I'm going over to the sink. Pouring the water off, and then I gotta figure out some way somewhere I can store these. I think if I put them in another bowl, it'll be fine. I'm making a lot of dishes doing this, but I usually make a lot of dishes when I cook, so. I'll go ahead and start drying the potatoes. Okay. So I'm just keeping an eye on, I'm just going to keep an eye on the temperature on the oil while I'm drying the potatoes. All right, another paper towel. We are at 100 degrees and climbing on the oil. I think once I get these potatoes dried, or as dried as I'm going to get them, I'm probably going to take a small break just so I don't have to when I'm starting to move stuff into the oil. Because I do have a little bit more prep that I want to do, which mostly relates to how I'm going to store these when these come out of, when the fish and chips all come out of the oil. Right, one more. Okay, that bowl can move out of my way. And with that, I'm going to take my aforementioned small break. I was getting a little bit caught up on some of the dishes here, so I'll be feeling a lot less panicked when we're all done here. But we are at 343 degrees right now and climbing on the oil. Again, the number we're looking for is 375, 347. 349. Still climbing, come on. 351. So we're probably getting about a 30-second warning before the loud beep 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 of the thermometer being at temperature goes off. 352, it's starting to slow down a bit. $354. $356. $358. $360. $361. $363. $365. $367. $369. $70. Keep going. 372. Okay, here's your 10-second warning, I would say, if you've got headphones or anything like that. 372. 376. Okay. All right. You off. Oh, wrong temperature. Okay, now off. You out, preferably without burning my hand. And I'll put the probe right into the dishes. Right into the dishwater. Okay, so now that we've got the oil up to temperature, actually I'm going to take this Apple Watch back off. Now what we're going to do, I'm not going to turn the camera in this direction because I don't want to get it in the way. So now we're going to take our cod that we cut down earlier. We're going to dip it in the batter. That still might be a little too thick, but I'm not going to worry about it now. Looks like the excess is dripping off. I'm not going to turn the camera to show that, but now we're going to bring this over to the oil carefully without splashing everywhere. And we can probably get another 1 or 2 pieces in there. The goal here is to make sure none of the pieces of cod are touching. I think we'll go 1 more piece. Oh boy. Get that out of the way. Like I said, I'm not going to try to get cute with this because they say to give 4 inches of oil in a pot, and I'm not I'm not using anything other than a stock pot for this. And once again, I'm also not coming over the top of the oil. It's even splashing more than I would like, but I don't think that can be helped in this case. So I'm going to have to be very careful with this. Like I'm going to be trying to come at this from weird angles. And I'm looking for, okay, touching that plastic is a bad idea. So here we're looking to boil it for 3 minutes per side until golden brown. Oh boy. I don't think we're going to do too much more cooking with oil on Mystical Munchies. Alright, that is actually looking pretty good though. I'm moving that spoon rest forward. Oh wow, look at that. Looks like the first couple pieces of fish are going to turn out. I'm going to try to get them out carefully. Bring the plate to the oil as we've learned. Because that is way safer than trying to bring the oil to the plate. And then we want to fry the potatoes, yep, also until golden brown. Oh. Trying to do this without splashing everywhere. I think if we get them in batches of about 4, that will probably work out just fine. Now these won't be particularly crisp because they're supposed to be thinner. Supposed to be thinner than they're going in. And I'm just going to continue washing dishes in the background. Mostly, again, so I have an easier time when it comes time to do cleanup. Okay. Those potatoes are a lot bigger than probably you want going into the recipe, so I'm going to have to give them a little more time. not get you in the oil. It looks like these are coming decently well. Doesn't really say a time on these. Like I said, I think they're anticipating the potatoes being a lot thinner than these ones were going in. Alright, I think that's probably as good as we're going to get. Again, we need to remember that these potatoes are a lot smaller. I think the recipe is envisioning them being a lot smaller, so we'll go ahead and pull these out. Move these over to the paper towel to dry. They sound crispy though, which is good. We'll pull that out. Then we're going to repeat that. Then we're going to repeat both of those steps. So we're going to cover a couple pieces in batter of cotton batter, fry those, then fry a batch of chips up. We'll come back to the counter when the frying's all done. The last of the chips just came out of the oil, so last thing we're going to do is we're going to toss in a little bit of salt. That's probably way more than a little bit of salt, but we'll work with it. Okay. Okay. We've got all that done now, and my stomach is sending me nasty grams, so let's say I cordon off a portion of a serving, and I'll see you guys over at my desk for the taste test. Everything's all ready for the taste test, so let's go ahead and have a bite. First we'll try some of the fish. Ooh, it's slicing through like it used to back in the day. Back when I'd get fried fish. And one of the crisps. The chips probably could have stood to be in the oil a little bit longer, but the fish turned out really well. So I'm definitely not calling this one a botch. Kind of reminded me of, like I said, like a baked fish and chips recipe I'd get from fish fry places when I was younger. But I think we're probably done cooking with oil on Mystical Munchies. As you saw, it was dripping. The splashing wasn't too bad, but it was splashing around more than I think I'm comfortable with, so I think we're going to keep the oil recipes to a minimum moving forward. But that is this week's recipe of codfish and chips. Next week, we're finishing up the Disney Villains Devilishly Delicious Cookbook with the dessert, Temper Hearts. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.